Beyond words, reimagining race conversations, a revolutionary approach. Welcome to a groundbreaking exploration of how we can transform our approach to conversations about race and identity. Today, we're diving deep into the revolutionary insights shared by Laya Kelley, a visionary leader whose work is reshaping the landscape of racial dialogue and understanding. Laya's innovative methods at ConvoPlay are not just changing lives, they're paving the way for a more connected, empathetic world. Imagine for a moment a world where discussions about race don't leave you feeling drained, defensive, or trapped in an endless cycle of frustration. A world where black women aren't burdened with the exhausting task of educating others and white women don't retreat into performative allyship or paralyzing fear of saying the wrong thing. This isn't just a distant dream. It's a reality that Laya Kelley and her team are actively creating right here, right now. For far too long, we've been sold the idea that the key to bridging racial divides is simply to talk it out. We've been told that open dialogue is the magic bullet that will heal centuries of pain and misunderstanding. But what if I told you that this widely accepted belief is not just incomplete, but potentially harmful? Let's pause for a moment and really consider this. How many times have you engaged in or witnessed conversations about race that left everyone feeling worse than when they started? How often have these talks devolved into cyclical arguments, with each side becoming more entrenched in their position? If talking alone was the answer, shouldn't we have solved these issues by now? The truth is, talking isn't enough. It's time we challenge this assumption and explore a new paradigm, one that transforms how we approach these crucial conversations. At the heart of this paradigm shift is a simple yet profound realization. Trust isn't built through words alone. It's cultivated through shared experiences, emotional safety, and intentional engagement. This isn't just feel-good rhetoric. It's backed by neuroscience. When we engage in traditional conversations about race, our brains often go into fight or flight mode. For Black women, the stress of constantly explaining their experiences can trigger a physiological response akin to reliving trauma. For white women, the fear of saying something wrong can activate defense mechanisms that shut down true listening and learning. But when we create structured experiences that prioritize emotional safety and shared vulnerability, something remarkable happens. Our brains shift from a state of threat to one of openness and connection. This is where real change begins. Laya Kelley and her team at ConvoPlay have tapped into this neurological insight to create a revolutionary approach to race conversations. Instead of relying on unstructured dialogue, they've designed experiences that foster trust, courage, and deeper understanding without reinforcing the same old exhausting dynamics. Picture this. A group of Black and white women gather in a room, but instead of launching into a discussion about race, they're invited to play. Yes, play. They engage in role reversal exercises, co-create stories, and participate in structured activities that break down barriers and build bridges. One participant, a Black woman named Jasmine, shared her experience. For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to be the teacher. I could just be myself, and that was enough. A white participant, Sarah, reflected, I've never felt so comfortable being uncomfortable. It allowed me to really listen and learn without getting defensive. These aren't isolated anecdotes. ConvoPlay's approach is yielding measurable results. Participants report significant increases in empathy, understanding, and willingness to engage in further conversations about race. More importantly, these effects last long after the initial experience, leading to real changes in behavior and attitudes. But why does this approach work when traditional conversations often fail? The answer lies in the intentional design of these experiences. First, there's a clear agreement among all participants about the purpose and expectations of the engagement. This creates a container of safety and mutual accountability. Second, the use of play and interactive exercises bypasses our usual defenses. When we're engaged in a game or a creative task, we're more likely to let our guards down and connect authentically. Third, the structured nature of these experiences ensures that the emotional labor is distributed equally. Black women aren't put in the position of having to educate or comfort others, and white women are given tools to engage without centering themselves. Fourth, these experiences are designed to be liberating rather than draining. By focusing on shared humanity and collective growth, they create a sense of possibility and hope.
Finally, and perhaps most importantly, these experiences are designed to lead to action. Participants don't just talk about change, they practice it in real time and leave with concrete steps to implement in their lives and communities. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, this sounds great, but is it really enough to address systemic racism? It's a valid question. And the answer is no. Of course, it's not enough on its own, but it's a crucial piece of the puzzle. You see, systemic change doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when enough individuals shift their perspectives and behaviors. When we create space for genuine connection and understanding, we're laying the groundwork for larger societal shifts. Think about it this way: every major social movement in history started with conversations. The civil rights movement, women's suffrage, LGBTQ plus rights, all of these began with people coming together, sharing their experiences, and imagining a different future. But these weren't just any conversations. They were intentional, structured, and designed to build solidarity and inspire action. What Laya Kelley and ConvoPlay are doing is taking this time tested approach and supercharging it with modern insights from psychology, neuroscience, and experiential learning. They're creating a replicable model for transformative dialogue that can be scaled and adapted to various contexts. Imagine if this approach was adopted in schools, workplaces, and community organizations across the country. Imagine the ripple effects as more and more people engage in these trust building experiences. We could see increased empathy and understanding across racial lines, more effective and inclusive leadership in organizations, reduced instances of racial microaggressions and discrimination, stronger, more diverse coalitions working towards social justice, and a new generation growing up with the skills to navigate complex conversations about identity and equity. But let's be clear: this isn't about creating a kumbaya moment where we ignore real issues and systemic inequalities. It's about building the trust and shared understanding necessary to tackle these issues head on. As Laya puts it, we're not trying to erase differences or pretend that centuries of oppression didn't happen. We're creating spaces where we can acknowledge these realities while also recognizing our shared humanity and capacity for change. This approach also addresses a critical issue that often gets overlooked in discussions about racial dialogue: the toll it takes on Black women. For too long, Black women have been expected to bear the emotional burden of these conversations, to educate, to comfort, to lead the way towards reconciliation. But as Audre Lorde famously said, the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. We can't expect to create true equity and understanding using the same conversational dynamics that have perpetuated inequality. By reimagining these conversations as intentionally designed experiences, we're creating a more equitable distribution of emotional labor. We're saying that everyone has a role to play in this work and everyone has something to learn. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but can it really work in the real world? The answer is a resounding yes. ConvoPlay's approach has been implemented in corporate settings, educational institutions, and community organizations with remarkable results. One Fortune 500 company that implemented this approach saw a 40% increase in retention of employees of color and a 60% improvement in cross racial collaboration scores. A university that incorporated these experiences into their orientation program reported a 50% decrease in racial incidents on campus and a significant increase in students' ability to engage in constructive dialogues about diversity and inclusion. But perhaps the most powerful testament to the effectiveness of this approach comes from the participants themselves. Time and time again, they describe these experiences as transformative, using words like eye opening, healing, and life changing. One participant, a white woman named Rachel, shared, "I've been to countless diversity trainings, but this was the first time I truly understood the impact of my actions and words. It wasn't just intellectual, I felt it in my gut." A Black participant, Marcus, reflected, "For the first time, I felt like I could bring my whole self to a conversation about race without fear of being misunderstood or having to soften my truth." These stories and countless others like them demonstrate the power of this approach to create real lasting change. So, where do we go from here? How do we take these insights and turn them into action? First, we need to challenge our assumptions about what effective racial dialogue looks like. It's not enough to just talk. We need to create intentional, structured experiences that foster trust, and understanding. Second, we need to advocate for the implementation of these approaches in our workplaces, schools, and communities. This isn't just a nice to have, it's essential for creating more equitable and inclusive environments. Third, we need to commit to our own growth and learning. This work isn't easy, and it requires us to step out of our comfort zones. But the rewards, in terms of richer relationships, more effective leadership, and a more just society, are immeasurable. Finally, we need to spread this message. Share these ideas with others. Challenge the notion that talking alone is enough. Advocate for a new paradigm of engagement that goes beyond words and creates real transformative experiences. As we come to the end of this talk, I want to leave you with a challenge that goes beyond mere words and demands action, a challenge that asks you to reimagine not just how we talk about race, but how we live, work, and build community together. Think about a conversation about race that you've been avoiding or dreading. Now imagine approaching that conversation not as a potential minefield, but as an opportunity for growth and connection. What would change if you had the tools and the framework to engage in a way that builds trust rather than erodes it? This is the power of reimagining race conversations. It's not just about changing what we say, it's about transforming how we engage, how we listen, and ultimately how we relate to one another. In a world that often feels more divided than ever, this approach offers a path forward. It's not a quick fix or a magic solution, but it is a powerful tool for creating the understanding and connection we so desperately need. So I challenge you, don't just walk away from this talk feeling inspired. Take action. Seek out opportunities to engage in these transformative experiences. If they don't exist in your community, be the one to bring them in. Be the catalyst for change. Challenge your friends, your colleagues, your community leaders to move beyond traditional diversity training and embrace this new paradigm. Push for the implementation of these approaches in your workplace, your schools, your places of worship. And most importantly, challenge yourself. Commit to doing the hard work of self reflection and growth. Be willing to be uncomfortable. Be willing to make mistakes and learn from them. Be willing to see the humanity in those who are different from you, even when it's difficult. Remember, every great movement for social change started with individuals who were willing to challenge the status quo, to imagine a different way of doing things. You have the power to be one of those individuals. So let's move beyond words. Let's create experiences that transform. Let's build a world where conversations about race don't drain us, but energize us, where they don't divide us, but unite us in our shared humanity and our commitment to creating a more just and equitable world. The power to change these conversations and through them to change our world lies within each of us. Let's commit to doing this work, not just with our words, but with our actions, our open hearts, and our willingness to engage in new and transformative ways. Together, we can move beyond talk and create real, lasting change. The conversation starts now. The change starts with you. Are you ready to reimagine race conversations? Are you ready to be the change our world so desperately needs? The choice is yours. The time is now. Let's make it count.